And Mark and Diane were my cousins, and Uncle Jerry had one rule: don't ever lie to me. And so I never did. And then Dad had got me a 1955 Bel Air, a Chevy Bel Air. It was nice. It was army green. It was had a Hurst Speed 350 in it. It was a nice car, but I got screwed up one night and drove it into a fence and messed it up, and then couldn't get to work. And so I had to call up Dad and tell him what had happened. And then Uncle Jerry called up Dad and said, "Did David tell you?" And Dad said no. And so Jerry kicked me out and sent me back to Alpine. And turns out Diane asked her dad, "Why'd you kick Dave out?" Says, "Well, he lied to me. He said he had told his dad." She goes, "I heard him tell him." Well, Dad was a workaholic. He worked all the time, and he was so busy he just didn't hear me. And so Uncle Jerry drove all the way to all the way from San Antonio to Alpine, and then whenever he got here, we all said hi to him and everything. Him and Dad disappeared right after that. And to this day, I don't know what Uncle Jerry and Dad talked about, but I know that Uncle Jerry was really upset that he kicked me out because he thought I'd lied to him. And so I never lied to Uncle Jerry. But Dad, he was so busy. Anyway, Dad and I didn't get along. But Alan and Roger got along great with Dad. And Dad was a great dad. It's just that I was hard to get along with back in those days.
So you were the oldest of
I was the
three.
black sheep. I was the oldest.
You were the oldest of three boys. What was your relationship like with your brothers?
Oh, I got along great with Alan and Roger. They're great brothers.
Any early childhood memories with them
Oh, yeah.
that stand out, kind of come to mind?
Mom was one of these mothers that would turn us loose in the morning and tell us to be home by nighttime. Whenever the street lights came on, we had to be home. And we'd be out on our bicycles. I was running around with the Roach brothers. I mean, we just footloose and fancy free, just mostly playing in the dirt. Oh, one time we were digging for treasure, and I hit a sewer pipe, and Alan jumps into the hole real quick to clear the dirt, and I came down with a hoe and hit him right in the back of the head. And then I don't know what else. Anyway, he swung a croquet mallet and hit me in the eyebrow, and then we turned the bicycle upside down and was spinning the wheel and sticking cards in it and making that sound. And Alan's finger got caught in the spokes. One time, Dad was coming home. Dad would walk home from work, and I had put a rope. We had a split tree, and I put a rope from one to the other, and then I'd swing on it. And I had these cowboy boots, and the heels got caught on the rope. I was going to jump off the rope to go see Dad. He was coming home from work, and my heels caught on it. I went black, hit the sidewalk, and tore a big old gash in my eyebrow. And Dad took me and got me stitched up. But the really bad one was we got a BB gun for Christmas, and we were in Cleveland visiting my grandmother and grandfather, and we were in the hotel room, and I pointed the BB gun at Roger and pulled the trigger, and the BB shot him right here. And Dad rushed him to the hospital. they said that whenever he got there, they had this big old spotlight on him. The doctor had this big old spotlight on him, and then got under the BB and got the tweezer under it, and bang, that BB hit the spotlight and bounced away. And you know, stories like that. We were always getting her. We were doing boy stuff. You know, three brothers, just always getting in trouble. We weren't as bad as the Roach brothers, but those guys played hard, and we just had a great growing up. My mistake was whenever I was getting in my teens, and I was thinking I wanted to be a hippie, and I would go to the Dallas jewelry show with Dad, and while he was buying watches and jewelry and all this stuff, I was buying black light posters and black lights and all this stuff, and that's about all I can remember right now. There's a lot more, but
yeah. So I know that in that interview with your dad, the part that struck me was, now that I'm very familiar with Big Lake because of my wife, her whole family's from Big Lake, and in that part of the interview where your dad said that he was in the middle of transitioning jewelry stores there in Alpine from one to the other, and right in the middle of moving, but he also had to go to Dallas for a jewelry show to stock up on inventory, and somewhere in there, midway point was Big Lake. So he stayed at the Mustang Hotel, which the Mustang Hotel is still in operation today. And I always see the Mustang Hotel when I'm in Big Lake, but that was kind of cool to hear that back in the 50s. This was back in the 50s. Mustang Hotel was around. So, but I know that
we moved to Alpine in 1958, and Dad started Watson's Watch Shop, and then that was Dad's first